All right, and the blue box says this Hangout on Air is alive, which means we're in for another virtual connecting session. I'm the host today for the first one. I'm Alan Levine, coming to you from Central Canada, and we're hooking up with some folks. Hooking up, that's a terrible phrase. We're meeting some people who are at the first day of DigPed in Toronto, and we've got almost a full house here on the bottom of the screen, so I'm going to ask folks to say hello so we know who they are, and I will start with, on my left, we'll say hello to Autumn. Hello, Autumn.
On mute. Sorry, guys. Hey, my name is Autumn Keynes. I'm an instructional designer at the University of Michigan Dearborn. I'm also a co-director of Virtual Connecting, and I'm super excited to be here with you.
All right, and next over to George.
Hi, I'm George Station, and I'm a lecturer at Cal State Monterey Bay in California, Central Coast. And this spring, I'm doing some work with lecturers with our Teaching and Learning Center on the effects of a sense of belonging and sense of community among the lecturer/adjunct class. And that's turning out to be some interesting work.
Good to see you, George. I'm kind of fascinated by that book clock behind you, but we'll come back to that. We'll say over to Jim Luke, who may or may not have video, but I know he has audio. Hello, Jim.
Hi, I'm Jim Luke. I'm econ prof with PROPH on Twitter, and I'm professor of economics at Lansing Community College, and I am also one half open learning faculty fellow in our Center for Teaching Excellence.
Half a fellow, okay.
Yes, I'm half a fellow, and then I'm half a professor.
And then we're so happy to see John because he got his video working. Hello, John. Hello, how are you today?
Fine. I'm John Ukewale from Yaba College of Technology in Nigeria. I'm actually an IT integrator, but at the same time, I'm doing a course at the Open University in the UK called Online and Distance Education. So I've been doing a whole lot of things about open, and part of it is the fact that I actually shared to all my colleagues that, yeah, we're going to be having DigPed virtually connecting. And to my surprise, a whole lot of people don't really know about this virtual connecting and all that. So I said, okay, come join. And I hope that during the course of this program, they're going to be part of it. Thank you for having me on. Thanks.
That's great. And we hope to maybe you can run the session in the future.
Oh, definitely. I'm thinking because I should be at the Global Summit in May. So I'm all going to be dancing around something for that, with where it's going to be around. And okay, just to add to, I'm part of the Creative Commons Global Network. So much on my hands. Thanks.
Good stuff. Glad you're here. And then over to Taylor.
Hey there. Taylor Kendall. I am out in Denver, Colorado. Instructional designer by trade, and teach also in the School of Education and Human Development at CU Denver. And most recently, also sort of community organizer for Blockchain Colorado, looking at sort of blockchain and crypto out west and helping connect some dots and finding ways to build what's happening in that development world into the world of higher ed, which I was gonna say I know so well. I know and love so well. So yeah, glad to be here.
Good stuff. Blockchain is legal in Colorado, right?
Yeah, it just got legalized.
That was terrible. That was uncalled for.
No, it was
not. This is what, yeah, I'll get kicked off my hosting duties.
More and more places are legalizing it.
Even though we don't understand, never mind. And then hello, Vahid. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Briefly, I'm co-founder of Wikimedians of Ecuador. So I participate in the whole Wikipedia movement, and I'm keenly interested on how education should be updated to the 21st century, and open is definitely a big part of that.
Excellent. And I understand this is the first time you've done virtual connecting?
Correct, yes.
All right, so we hope to see you again. And now finally over to our guest in Toronto. We have Terry Greene as our local host, and have everybody else say hello maybe. Terry's hand.
Oh, hi, I'm Terry Greene. I'm program manager at eCampus Ontario, and
I'm Sarah Wendorf, instructional designer with Cambrian College in Sudbury. And Nick Baker, I'm the Director of Open Learning at University of Windsor.
Excellent. So how's the first day there?
Excellent so far.
Yeah, pretty good so far.
Are we all on different tracks?
And we're together.
Yeah,
Oh, you're
we're on the
together.
same track.
So what's your track?
We're an inclusive design.
Nice. And you have a pretty cool room, eh?
We have a very interesting room. The color, so the room that we're in, the color choice, there's some kind of uplighting that's making everything in the room kind of a pink hue, which is a little disconcerting when you first try and get in there.
There's a lot of mirrors.
Yeah, there's a lot of mirrors everywhere.
I imagine the sun changes the look of the room throughout the day as it reflects off the mirrors, which is kind of a neat.
Yeah.
And George asks, who's the leader? Who's leading your track?
Amy Collier.
And it's the whole hotel is like an art space, really. So you're not just in a room; you're in a piece of art.
You're in an active gallery space. The whole thing is an active gallery space. So there's art all around us.
Yeah.
What kind of building
Every
is it?
floor.
I haven't really figured that out.
What was that?
What kind of building is this?
Oh, it was one of the first hotels in Toronto.
It's one of the oldest hotels in Toronto. It's been renovated into this kind of funky art space.
The Gladstone. They have every room has a different theme. So Jessica O'Reilly, my colleague at Cambrian College, her and I got separate rooms here, and hers is called the what is it? The maple? No, the sugar bush.
Oh, the sugar bush.
The sugar bush.
I saw that.
And mine is sort of like a lodge space, so it's kind of like we took a little bit of Sudbury with us here. So we like our forests.
That's awesome. Are you staying here?
I'm staying here too.
What's your theme?
Mine is actually just a relatively normal room. I got moved from another one to this one, which is kind of, I guess, it's called Serenity, I think, something like that.
Nice.
So it's just a exposed brick, lots of windows, really comfy space.
Feeling the serenity?
Feeling the serenity.
In the thick of the city.
Yeah.
That's great.
So what is the DigPed experience like? Because it is unusual. It's not your typical slice and dice conference, right?
No, it's very immersive. It's very, I think it's going to get really intense. It's already had some intense reactions to it. So
a lot of introspection, critical thinking about our own practices. Kind of, we're sort of in the process right now of forming a collaborative group and a community within our track. But then we kind of got alluded to the fact that we're going to be joining perhaps some other groups in the next few days, which is really nice to see perspectives from not just our own track, but the open design
track. Yep. Pedagogy's track.
John Michael Morris did the opening remarks. Kind of, it was nice little kind of personal storytelling, and then drew in how it's kind of like a little bit us versus ed tech vendor-ness, and then just kind of provoke us to make some noise while we're here, and then we all went off into our tracks, and so we're like forming I'm in the digital storytelling track, so we're forming groups and forming ideas and like to really actually do something. We're not sitting in workshops and staring. There's no power. I haven't seen a PowerPoint slide.
We have slides.
Yeah, no slides.
They're shared, and it's part of it. One of the things that Amy started with was, well, here's these shared slides, and we have another space where we can add notes and thoughts and content to that. So it's a collaborative process. At least it will be.
Yeah, we did some free writing as well. So just using the paper materials we have. We did some art projects already. So pipe cleaners and sticky notes and paper. So just really thinking differently about the things that we encounter every day. Yeah.
Is there yelling going on there?
That's not here.
Oh, okay.
One of the running jokes has been that the writing track is housed in the bar.
Yeah.
So they're working in the bar all day long. We'll see what they're like today.
And no one told us that when we were signing up.
And you chose the tracks that you're in, or were they assigned?
We chose, yeah. Welcome. And we're in the faculty lounge, so Dave Cormier just went by.
Oh no!
The faculty? Oh no! Don't let anybody in.
Tomorrow, Dave. Hi.
We're talking about inclusion.
This is actually the faculty bathroom, so he's got to go.
Yeah, that's right.
That's not a waterfall you can hear.
Yeah. Mute when you need to mute. Okay.
Now the technology will work.
Yeah, crystal clear.
So what should we know about this? Like, what do you anticipate at the end of the week? What's going to happen?
Well, I know for our track, we hope to create some kind of collaborative document or something. We haven't quite identified what it is yet, but
yeah,
a takeaway that we can share with the world.
Yeah,
yeah.
And I think it's a good portion of it is about building community, extending the community. There are some of us in that track that know each other already, and there are others that we've never met before, the first time we're seeing them. So it's extending the reaches of that community out into other spaces.
And others who couldn't join as well. I mean, there's many, many others who are like-minded who we'll connect with after and be part of that.
We hear the open pedagogy track is just killer. Like, it's really humming along. What are you guys doing?
We're mapping the history of open pedagogy. We're mapping out digital practices, and we're building out projects so that by affinity group.
Nice.
So the idea is that everybody's going to be part of at least a project that hopefully gets finished by Wednesday afternoon. So,
is there any woodworking involved?
No, I didn't want anybody to get stabbed.
So it seems like a lot of focus on actually making something while we're here, or at least having a takeaway.
Which is nice. Yeah.
Safety first.
Safety first.
Question, in the inclusive design aspect, is it about course design, like whole curriculum design, or have you even figured that out yet since you're just kind of getting warmed up?
Well, I think it's being examined in a very broad sense. We're thinking about inclusive design practices that are, some of them are pedagogically based, but others are just things like in the world around us that we see that are, either creating or removing barriers for certain groups of people. And one of the things that we were talking about earlier was the difference between inclusive design and universal design. Those things are not always compatible. One recognizes diversity and can target, doesn't see a problem with targeting certain types of diversity, whereas the other is, inherently trying to design something that'll fit for all of those. It still recognizes diversity, but it's trying to fit something to everyone that may not necessarily be the best outcome.
And to add to that as well, we're kind of unpacking a lot of the things that could potentially create barriers for folks. So just in general, education, like what kind of barriers do we see at our institutions, from our websites to our policies to our learning management systems,
LMS,
like the building spaces, the classrooms, how they're set up. So it's very, very broad right now what we're looking at. We're looking at education in a very broad sense. And I'm not sure where that's going to go.
Because we are a pretty mixed group too. We've got IDs, we've got directors and managers, we've got faculty, we've got people coming at it from all sorts of different librarians, different perspectives.
Can I ask real quick too? The tension that I feel like always exists at events. I think DigPed DPL is in a little different category probably, but like I'd love to hear just thoughts on how folks are balancing the sort of need to create community and just identify with folks and sort of have a support group while on site there, that versus actually getting things accomplished and like getting products created. And it sounds like there's a focus on actually trying to create things, or like Terry was saying, like making some noise and just finding time to be critical of you know, whether it's technology or anything else that's not serving us. Where are you guys at with balancing those things? And like, can you do all three, or is it like, nope, for the week, I just want to create good community and I got to let go of like really trying to create something? I always find myself in that weird space of like, how do I really find the most value out of this event? And DPL being week long helps you get more time to it. But how are you guys balancing those things?
The other one, the main one's a week. This one's only a 3-day, so it's not a full.
Right.
Yeah, it's intensive though, and it puts us out of our regular space, and even the choice of space that we're in here is different to what most conferences would be in. So it's a non-academic space. It's a creative and artistic space. It's a cool space. It has lots of different spaces physically in it, and so I think that removing us from our normal environment probably helps with it.
And it's intimate too. There's only 75 people. There's 15 people in each track. I think in general, the people interested in coming are a bit radical, kind of, right? So there's not a lot of worry about feeling included here, I think, because everybody here is welcoming, open, inclusive. Everyone I've met anyway. So it's, I don't know if we have a head start on that kind of stuff because of the setup, possibly.
Yeah. There's also there seems to be, at least for the moment, by day 3 it might be different, but at the moment there seems to be a commitment to actually to the immersion component, to being really immersed in it. I haven't seen anyone answering emails in sessions yet, which is, you know,
sorry.
But it's not like most other conferences, everyone is doing it through everything. So the thing, you're always flicking backwards and forwards between those. Whereas here, it seems like people are really trying to engage deeply with the ideas.
Yeah, like having the theme of inclusiveness and inclusivity. I think just being in the space makes it naturally inclusive for everyone. Like we are sitting very close together. The proximity of everyone together in the space, like right now, like we're just like we're meeting people in a different way that we would normally meet. So it's kind of a nice way to consider when we go back to our classrooms, when we go back to our work, like how do we make those spaces inclusive the way that we've experienced here. So it's a bit of experiential learning, I think, at the same time as like collaborating. I think
that brings up a question. I was thinking, you talk about going back to your classrooms, and I mean, I remember when I went to DigPed last year at University of Mary Washington. It's an intense experience. I mean, you don't leave. You're a different person when you leave, and as Terry just mentioned, I mean, the folks that are there are already kind of radical for getting there. So now, you know, at least my experience was come back and it's like I'm even more radical and even more of a misfit to everything else on campus. Has there been any talk or about, I mean, how do you go back and bring other folks along?
Great question.
What's the follow-up?
You're a leader of that, right?
Well, just in the free writing exercise, actually, one of the prompts, the first prompt was, why am I here? And that was what I was writing about. How do we translate this stuff into something that people who are not as engaged as us, who are not as bought into the ideas and who are not as radical, how do we make it meaningful and sensible to people, so that we bring them along just a little, just enough, just to start.
Yeah. And I think too, like I never thought to consider this radical, but I guess it is. I'm so new to education. Like I've only really been in higher ed for a year. So, I mean, maybe my perspective is much different than someone who's been in education for 10, 15, 20 years, who's been more indoctrinated to the system. So I guess radical, I mean, if we want to call it that, great. I want to be a part of that. But I mean, I hope this becomes not radical. That's kind of my thought. Yeah.
How do we spread it from here?
Yeah, we've had some issues with radical before, because radical, I think especially in maybe a Western context, is like something positive, but it's not always something positive, right? And so yeah, it can, and also, I mean, if you're trying to affect change, like maybe this isn't so radical, maybe this isn't something so crazy, right? Maybe this is something we can actually do.
Yeah, stick with rad.
Rad.
Well, think of every type of social change that's happened over history, and at one point it was considered radical, wasn't it?
Right.
So how do we normalize? Well, I mean, normalize is not a good word either, because is that inclusive?
Right.
It's like it's really deconstructing and unpacking the language that we use and the thinking that we have. So it's like, yeah, it's a tough one right now. Maybe we'll have answers in a couple days.
I think that's part of it. Like part of one of the things that draws me to this stream is this some of the issues that I see with the lack of, or the exclusivity that exists in some of the open, some parts of the open movement, if you want to think of it like that. And a lot of the time it's not intentional, but it's happening and it's there. And how do we address that? That level of criticality is starting to emerge, and I think that you're seeing that in themes of the way that we discuss open pedagogies and open practices now. But it's still a whole lot of whiteness in the open world, right? That we have to figure out how to diversify those voices,
and recognizing that in our language, in our thoughts, in our designs, in our conversations with others, it's I want to be shaken up. I want to have that experience of feeling uncomfortable, of feeling that there's a lot of wrong in what I'm doing, and I want to get emotional about that. I really, because I think that is the experiential learning that I think we need. And it's just I need to see it another way.
I think you're in the right place for that, Sarah. I've been to a couple of ditch fights before, and if that's what you're looking for, you're in the right place.
Yeah.
So I wonder, because I know it's still first day, so the way Dave just kind of wandered through and crashed, if tomorrow afternoon there were 2 more sessions, so I'm going to pre-invite you to, like, if something happens in the next 24 hours,
yes,
just walk back through the room. And if you want to add something to what you've just expressed, as far as what you're perceiving as the state of open and so on, as you do another like day and a half of inclusive design work, if there's something to add, maybe just wander back through and just happen to be headed to the faculty restroom or something, and let us know what might have happened, and I virtually connecting is generally friendly to that. We were talking before we rolled today. It's like we usually don't kick people out. I mean, even Dave made it in and out, right? So so yeah, come back and if there's maybe a shift in or like whatever the thing is happens in the next day, please wander back through.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that about virtually connecting. I mean, that's one of the things when you're on site at a conference too, right? Like you get kind of embedded with the group that's there. But I think, I mean, gosh, we've got people from all over the world in this call, so being able to get some of those outside voices is good too. I'm curious, Vahid, did you get your question in? I know you threw a question in the chat. Were you able to?
About tools to build community?
Yeah. Did we cover that?
No. And the host completely forgot to manage that. Thank you, guys.
No, we all put it together.
It was can you share some of the tools under consideration for building community, tech or interpersonal? Here, it's funny. At the start, he said this is kind of an analog digital pedagogy because I don't know if they think Wi-Fi is not. It's been really good actually, but it's not very tech-enabled spaces. There's no. The only projectors I've seen are projecting just art videos of people doing cool poses and stuff. That I wanna copy them actually. But so like we're tweeting to the DigPed hashtag, but we're forming groups in person here.
Yeah,
a lot of pulling your phone out and
we have a Padlet, but then I imagine we'll probably evolve to some kind of Google Doc or something like that as well. We haven't started using those spaces yet. We're still getting to the, get to know each other kind of on site first.
Yeah.
It's
Using our
Yeah, there's a lot of analog writing happening, partly because we're so jammed onto these tables that you can't pull your laptop out.
Well, it's funny because Rajiv is in our inclusive design track, and he's on his laptop. There's a few folks on their laptop, and he's furiously writing, furiously typing, and then we're furiously writing. So I mean, we're using a variety of tools, but mostly for like introspection at the moment, and less for like outward collaboration.
We're using Google Hangouts to connect with people all over the world right now.
We should try that.
I think let me come in. You talked about digital storytelling the other time. The on-site participants. I would want you to look at in the first day that you've actually been part of the conference. What area has actually dropped into your mind that you kind of like that maybe it needs a bit of tweaking or change based on what you already have learned being part of the event already right now? So what area are you going back and say, okay, come on, I think this area needs something like a tweaking or whatever?
Okay, so I'm in the digital storytelling track, and we're not too far in. We're still forming ideas, and there's no technology picked or anything. So I think what I'll learn to do differently is the process of choosing a story, and even step back farther. We're thinking about what emotion we want to convey, or to have the people experiencing the story to feel. And so my not formed idea, so don't ask me any questions about it, but I kind of want to convey wonder, like to motivate interest in digging deeper. I'm thinking of people who aren't here, and hopefully could, I want to make a rabbit hole kind of. So that's my goal. So I don't know what tool to use. Do you know what tool should I use?
A light. Use the light.
Go for it.
I think for me, the change that's going to happen is personal. I mean, I think it needs to start there. I think any change needs to start internally before we start changing things externally. So I think are you reading this? What are you doing? Because we're looking at a mirror right now. See the metaphor? That's how I'm looking at myself in the mirror, talking about what I need to change about myself. Right. So here we are.
Go ahead. I'm just
Terry's doing something over here.
He's working on his digital story right now.
We're going to be part of this story, I feel.
I think part of it for me is figuring out in my role at my level how to influence things differently, because at the moment we have a lot of courses that are designed that are not inclusive in any way, shape, or form. We have a lot of faculty who are not interested in inclusivity, but there are others that could be. I think we just have to push them a little bit more, push them outside of their comfort zone, their ingrained thinking about what education is. And sometimes it seems too risky to do that because I don't want to push people over the edge, but I have to figure out how to get them to the edge and not kick them over.
Nudge.
Yeah.
Park song, isn't it?
Did we talk about Linkin Park like not that long ago on Twitter?
Probably.
Oh my gosh. It's together now.
Story first, then tools.
Yeah.
Sage advice.
Well, I mean, it's like pedagogy, right? It's pedagogy before the
work
tools.
out what you want to do and then figure out how to do it.
That's right.
What is the experience you want people to have?
So how do I make people feel wonder? It's easy, right? I wonder what this guy's trying. Let's not worry.
Think of the spark.
Yeah, spark.
Terry, I think that needs to be our kind of theme through all the virtually connecting, because you're going to be there, right? And you're going
God, I have to work hard.
We can ask you tomorrow how you're doing on that.
Terry's wondering. What is Terry wondering about?
How are you going to create wonder, Terry?
Oh, what have I done?
Now you're accountable, right?
That's the worst.
Oh no! I'm sorry, I didn't.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Start with a metaphor. I've always learned that.
Oh, I like that.
Start with the metaphor.
Well, okay. So
I think I mean, Terry,
go ahead.
I know of you. You exist in the space of like wonder and curiosity, and I like.
I'm always wondering what's going on.
I'm wondering about your shirt right now.
Lots of people wonder after I've been there.
I don't think you can do a whole lot better than just modeling it. That's the takeaway. And as long as you're there, then that's.
So basically, what you're saying is we should stick a GoPro on Terry's head and just follow him around with her.
Yeah.
Wondering
let us all
what's
wonder
going on
here.
I mean, it's just like I mean, there's a sense of excitement here because we don't know exactly what's happening, but you know, I mean, you have to like come up with all these multitudes of ways to kind of tap into people's real interest, and they're all different. So, you know, I mean, and I mean, Sarah's comment is really resonating about like, you know, first it's got to start within her. Like, you know, I could have this idea about what I think is going to make everybody wonder. It doesn't mean anything. So, you know, the different wonder level, you know, you have to set up things that let people find their own way into it. And some of them are going to struggle and some will need prompts. Others will go and run with it. But, you know, a lot of it's just like breaking out of all these like boxes and routines that we have. And so that's why this is a pretty, you know, this is an ideal event because it's not about the structure of the event itself. And it's giving people the space and time to wonder, which I wonder about having that, you know?
Time and space is it. I don't know if we can see this.
You're not alone. It's nice to know we're not alone.
But yeah, like just having space, like to go and find a really quiet, dark mountaintop and staring upward for 30 minutes. Like, how often do we do that? Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's the right connection to what's happening there, but like you're not in that space very often. So
we have no mountains.
Well, we have been encouraged to find like quiet spaces, to find the faculty washroom or some other things. You know,
still in there, by the way.
You know, the space has all these like little nooks and seating areas and kind of introspective little corners that you can sort of just sit and ponder life, which is kind of nice. And we've been encouraged to do that, like get up and go and find a spot to think about something and then come back.
Yeah, but how often does it happen? It's week 3 and we have a quiz this week and we have these readings and where the heck is the wonder in a syllabus? Come on.
I think
That's gotta be one of the sinister verbs, wonder.
Yeah. I think there's a skill to be learned too that we need to hone a little bit, which is like separating what's happening in our minds from what am I trying to say? Like creating a mental separation between the everyday and what we're doing here.
Mm-hmm.
And like
allowing yourselves the space to do that.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I do want to wonder about whether you guys have had lunch yet, but
yeah, I think we should let our special guests go grab a bite.
Special.
Very special.
Yeah.
Have you eaten?
Nope.
You need to do that.
I'm talking. I won't eat.
Thanks so much for taking time to talk with us, guys.
Yeah, this has been really wonderful. Oh, sorry. So I will thank everybody for joining us from many places, and for Nick and Sarah for taking time out of their DigPed experience, and of course Terry. And I'm going to be stopping the broadcast, but we'll sit here for a while because I want to make sure I wonder a little bit. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks so much. Yeah.